Business Takeout presents
The Cocktale Hour with L.A. Wade.
What's up, everybody? It's your girl, L.A. Wade, and I am here in the Cocktale Hour with Sue Knows Business. Welcome to the show, Sue.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me, L.A. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. I mean, okay, let me just start by saying that the Cocktale Hour is where we have intimate yet sobering conversations about the things we thirst for in life and in business. And it's presented by Business Takeout, which is a social enterprise that works really hard to promote Black entrepreneurship and Black wealth. So I think this is a really great platform for you because you are like queen of Black entrepreneurship and Black wealth.
Oh, queen. I love that.
The queen is here, everyone. The queen is here. So I like to give people a little backstory on like why I choose people or how it came to be. And so I first met, I call you Sue, but I always hear you call yourself Suzette. Which one do you prefer to be called?
I have absolutely no preference. People, when they see my name, they mispronounce it usually. And so I just go by Sue. But you say it fine, so either one is fine. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I met Suzette, whichever one you all want to say, through a mutual friend by the name of Francine Joseph. And if you know Freedom with Fran on Instagram, you know that she has a very unique way of bringing people together. Like she knows so many different people, and we were just party friends, kind of. I mean, we're not really partiers, but we went to a party and we met. And I started to follow you on Instagram. And I really, really liked the way that you put yourself together. You always seem polished. And to be honest, it was a love language to me as a business person. Like being polished is a love language in business for me. So I wanted to, I'm going through a rebranding phase, and I want everyone to know that I wanted to be polished and restructure what it is that I've been trying to do for the past 2 years. So I reached out to Sue in a branding and business consulting capacity, and I'm much clearer now on my vision. I think you helped me connect to how I wanted to pivot my business. So right. This is a really, and I guess that is technically what you do. That's what you do for people. So clearly she does a really good job of it because you're going to see some really great things happening. She's connected me to all the right people to help with the pivot. And so thank you. I wanted to start by saying thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks so much for sharing that. It really touches me every time I hear how I've impacted someone or their business. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely. Now, for people who don't know, can you tell us a little bit about what exactly it is that you do?
Okay. So hi, everyone. My name is Suzette. Sue for short. My business is Sue Knows Business. I am a business consultant and I specialize in branding and marketing. So if you are having, if you're having difficulties in your business with very similar to LA with finding your brand and knowing exactly what it is that you want to do, I can help you with that. A lot of times as business owners, we have so many ideas flowing in and out of our heads, and it becomes challenging to kind of pinpoint on one and to know which one to pinpoint and where to go from there. So I help you with creating a clear brand. That's really important because now you're going to know who to target and how to target them, which is your marketing. So that's essentially in a nutshell what I do. I do that through business consultation. So sometimes if people have a question or they're just feeling stuck and they want to talk, I am great with coming up with creative ideas. I do it through processes. So a lot of times people may not have their processes in place. They're growing. Their business is growing, but they're not growing along with their business. So that's where I would kind of assess your processes and say, okay, these are the things that you need to be put in place. Yeah. And lastly is marketing and branding, which go hand in hand because you need to know your brand message, to know who your target market is, and to know how to market to them so that they can buy into you, your product, your service, whatever it is that you're in business doing.
Yes.
So
yes, thank you. That was a really great. See, this is what I mean. She's very concise and clear, and this is what happens to you with your business when you speak to Sue. So were you always this way? So that's my real lead off question.
Oh
Is
no.
yeah,
Oh,
right.
no, not at all. I was actually really touched that you said polished because a lot of times I come off as being very direct, which people don't really align with polished. So when I started, I had multiple businesses from when I was in high school, grade 10. I was selling lollipops, and like it was a real thing. My sister used to go to Buffalo, buy lollipops, and I would turn around, sell them for $1. And I had a list. If you didn't have your money, you need to bring $1.25 the next day. And I was serious. I used to go and run down people and like, hey, LA, you owe me $2.50. So it was always in me to be an entrepreneur. And so I've opened different businesses. I've sold food at Caravana. I've done many different things. Recently, my largest business was event planning and decor. I was in that business for 7 years, and I was doing it while working full time. So how I got started into that, let me backtrack a little bit. I was on mat leave, just had a baby. And a lot of times as women, we tend to get inspired, aka bored, on mat leave, and you need more money. So I was doing my son's first birthday, and I've always had a creative side of me. And it was an Elmo party, and I went all out. I custom made Elmo earrings myself. I made a whole Elmo outfit, like I did the whole shebang. I had friends. So when my friends came, they're like, "Ooh, who did this party?" I'm like, "I did." I'm like, "Oh, you did? Oh, you need to do our kids." And so I started doing my friends' kids' parties, and then their friends and their family would come, like, "Who did your party?" And then like, "Sue did." And then it grew. Now, I didn't plan my business at all. That was like a total mishap. I was just doing my son's party, and then my friend asked me to do their kids' party, and then somebody else came, and now I have to charge you because now I'm not doing it for you for free. I may have done it for my friends for free, and so this business was birthed, and I didn't have a plan for it. So I just kept going because now the momentum started, and I was doing anywhere from like 1 to 4 events a weekend. And yeah, it got really, really busy.
That's a lot.
And I, at the time, was still working full time. I was a young mom, had my second child. And I was actually working 2 jobs. I was a flight attendant as well. So I had a lot going on. And
are you Jamaican too?
Sorry?
Are you Jamaican?
Yes. Everybody who says that, like, you're Jamaican, so you have like 10 jobs. Like, yeah, it's just like, I don't like, I don't know. This is like part of my personality. I can't really stay still in a moment and just like not do anything.
Right.
So I'm not like, some people are like, "Oh, I'm sleeping." I called my girlfriend and she was sleeping at like 2:00. I'm like, "Bro, it's 2:00. What do you mean?" She works in the morning, but still, I'm like, I could never. I used to work late night and I still would stay up. That's not a good thing. And I'll get to that. So
yeah,
working. I eventually resigned my flight attendant job because that was too much. Then I went full time at my other job, and I was going nonstop. I wasn't sleeping because I had to do 8 hours at my job. Plus I had my young kids to deal with, get them ready in the morning for school, pick them up from school, get dinner ready. Then I was running this entire business on the side. And, I was doing everything. I was the accountant. I was a marketer. I was a social media person. I was a customer service. I was everything of the business. So long story short, it's a lot. It's more than a lot. It's a lot. Yeah. I started to have breakdowns, plenty. And I'm a very big mental health advocate because I think it's something that we don't discuss as business owners, especially as Black business owners, as women. Like, there's so many areas of high, what would you say now, like high need for mental health. And I think that a lot of times it's overlooked. You're a strong Black woman, keep going. And because I could keep going, I kept going. And after having multiple breakdowns, being burnt out, exhausted, I was snippy with everybody. I just didn't feel like myself. There was a weekend where I had 3 weddings. I'll never do that again. I had 3 weddings, and I just felt drained.
Yeah.
I got my invoice. So after the wedding and I did the cleanup and everything, I dropped off my linen to get cleaned by my cleaners. And he gave me the invoice, nearly dropped down dead. The invoice was like close to $1,000 for the whole weekend. I was like, whoo!
Oh my God.
At the time, and I was embarrassed to say this before, but now, you talk about the learning lessons.
Yeah.
That entire weekend, I made about $3,500. But I got an invoice for one vendor for $1,000. I was like, hold up, Suzette.
Oh my gosh.
Something's not right.
You need to read pricing.
My pricing was completely off. So even though I was booked and busy, because I was really good at what I did, but I was also very cheap. And so because I started the business while I was working and I didn't have a plan or anything like that, I didn't know I didn't take time to go and search out, find out pricing and what I should be charging. I was just like, oh, extra $500 for a whole entire wedding? Sure, that's good money. Doing that 3 times a week, can do the math. Remember, I was working full time. So money was going into my one account. I didn't have a business account. So I had my my personal account for my job, and I had my business money going in there. So everything just, as long as nothing bounced, I'm like, okay, good.
We're all good.
That's the truth of it. And I was so caught up. For instance, this happened for about 4 years. I was so caught up, and it wasn't until I resigned my full-time job that I was forced to look at my finances, because now every single dollar count. So whereas before I got my 2 weeks pay for my job, and then I got weddings and events. So money was always coming in. Now, when I quit because I was burnt out, I had to look at my finances. I was like, whoa, hold up. This doesn't make any sense. Mm-hmm. So at that point that I realized that, one, I was still experiencing burnout, even though I resigned my full-time job, because I had to go harder in my business. So one, I had to take a step back and look at all that I was doing wrong, which was everything.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, hot mess. So I had to get an accountant to rectify my books, because I wasn't managing all my receipts and everything properly. I had to, this is where I taught myself how to learn processes, because I'm like, okay, I can't hire anyone right now, but there's other things that I could do. So I set up automation into my business, and I had to teach myself how to do that, how to automate the processes. I had to write out processes when I was now growing, and I had to hire someone. So I hired an assistant, but I didn't have my processes written down. They were all in my head. Yeah. And so when I hired her and I'm telling her what to do, she came back and she was asking me 1,000 questions. I was getting annoyed, because I'm like, I told you how to do this already. Well, the problem is I told her I didn't have an actual written process. Think about any job you worked at. Like, you get a manual, a training book, something as a point of reference. So had to do the whole process and take everything out of my head and write it down. Took me a long time, but it was great, because then even after her, I had processes written out for everybody, and it kept the service consistent.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. And then, so I did that, and I had to do a rebrand. So this is where I had to take, I had to take a huge step back and kind of look at my brand. I'm like, what my brand didn't line up with what I was doing. I was doing high-end weddings. I was doing high-end weddings and not charging accordingly for it. So I had to let my clients know that it's not like that $500 wedding is not going to fly. So a rebrand. That's okay. Are you okay?
$500 wedding.
I did a $500 wedding. I told you I was embarrassed, man. I used to do
Oh my God.
I'm doing 2-3 weddings a weekend. It's an extra $1,000 a weekend times 4, extra $4,000. A big money. Like, that's what I was thinking. Yeah. Right. I wasn't thinking that, oh shoot, like I could have quit my job way earlier and be making like 10,000, and there was a huge level of ignorance, because I didn't plan my business. It just happened organically. And so I did a rebrand. I changed my business name, relaunched everything. And I went to school for marketing. So I knew how to do it. I just didn't need to do it in the beginning, because I had so many referrals. Right. So I did that, and imagine now, I did your wedding 2 years ago for $500, and now you're coming back to me because you're having a baby, and now I'm telling you it's gonna be $1,500. And my clients were like, "What? How is that possible?" And I go, "Well, I have a store. I actually had a storefront. I had employees. I had 2 employees, and I said it's not the same anymore when I was doing it back in my basement. It's different. And like, this is my rebrand. This is actually what I should have been charging.
Right.
Some clients knew the value and like, yep, suit, whatever. Well, we know what we're getting. So for sure. Some of my clients told me I should be charging more. Imagine that. But I did lose a lot of clients, but then I gained a lot of new ones that actually were paying me what I was worth. And so COVID happened and the industry changed. And unfortunately, I got into a car accident that same time. So wasn't physically able to do all the run up and down. So I pulled the plug on the business in 2020. Yeah. 2020. And in doing that, I had a lot of friends in the industry and business owners that would call me and be like, Sue, can you help me out with this? I have a client. I don't know what to do. Or Sue, can you help me out? Because they saw the come up. They saw how I changed everything around.
Yeah.
And so a good friend of mine who I look up to, who's a very successful business person, he had said, he's like, you should be a business consultant. Me? Like,
you didn't think you'd be good at business consulting?
No, not at all. Because like I being honest with you, I didn't go to school for it. So that was the first thing, right? That a lot of times that's what makes us valid is like having that piece of document. And so another person, two other business friends had told me, and it was a third one. I'm like, well, if 3 people are thinking that, then. And one of my girlfriends, she said to me, well, Sue, you didn't go to school for it, but you have the experience. Like you have the real live, raw experience of it. And she's like, you can tell people, now you can recognize what other businesses are doing wrong and what they're doing right. So just kind of being, locked down in COVID, I saw a lot of new businesses opening up, people losing their jobs. So now they're opening a business and just, they weren't doing the branding properly. They didn't have a brand message. And so I started thinking, I'm like, maybe this is something I should try. I changed my account, my decor event account over to the Sue Knows Business. Just that name was so random. It was like the most random. People love it. And people, what? I was just like, I'm going to call it Sue Knows Business. There was no thought behind it at all. I was just trying to see, what would happen. And 3 days after I changed the account, somebody messaged me and she's like, no, not anyone I knew. She's like, I need you in my life. She goes, what are your rates? I panicked. I'm like, this is real? Like, what? And so I got my first client 3 days in after like just posting that I'm a business consultant. And I was like, oh my goodness. And then I got my second client 2 weeks later. So when I didn't believe in myself and didn't think that, not to say I didn't think there was a need, but I didn't believe that I could do it. I just did it. And then I got clients.
It takes a certain amount of like boldness to claim like your pricing. The pricing is a big deal for a lot of us as Black entrepreneurs. Because we, just like you said, you felt like you weren't entitled to it because you didn't have the schooling. So how did you train yourself to say, I'm doing something that has value and be unapologetic about it?
I wouldn't say train. Even with this business, no lie, I used to do free consultations. And in my mind, I'm trying to fix the camera. In my mind, I'm doing, I'm trying to talk to people so they can believe in me. And then once they believe in me, that they will book my services later on. That was my thought process. So I used to give half an hour of business consultations for free. I did that for about 6 months. And one day I was in a consultation, a free one, and my niece walked by, and when I was finished, goes, did you charge them for that consultation, right? And I go, no, it's a free one. She goes, free? Because the amount of information you gave that person, the ideas you gave them, the solutions, and she could hear the person like and how like receptive they were and impressed by what I was saying. She goes, you need to charge. And again, you know what it comes to, LA? It comes to insecurities, right? A lot of times, like as confident as I appear to be, everyone's like, "Oh, so you're so confident." I have my own set of insecurities, right? We all do, and I didn't realize that, right? So I'm thinking in my mind, well, I'm not a real business consultant, so I can't really charge in the beginning, and blah blah blah. If I can convince you that I can help you, then I would charge you. That was my perception, and then I went from free to $85 for the hour. And now it's $140 an hour. And that's about to go up again, because I recognize the value. I wouldn't say I recognize it. I had a client, and about 2 months in with working with me, she sent me an email, and like I wanted to cry. She called me, sorry, she called me, and I wanted to cry on the phone. And she's like, Sue, I don't know like how to thank you. She's like, I know you love to eat, whatever restaurant you want to go to. I'm like, what happened? She landed a large client that she was trying to prospect, and she, again, insecurities. And it's funny because I'm good at giving people confidence, but when it comes to me, I'm like, I'm very hesitant. And she just had the world of great things to say to me, and it brought me to tears. Like eyelash came off and everything. I was just like, oh my goodness. She's like, Sue, you did this. And she's like, I would not have been able to do this without you. And it was in that moment that I realized, wow, there's value. And then after that, there were few, like my clients still, like even my clients who were like, they're on their own now. They still call me to this day. I had another client who called me. I used to have a program. So she went through the program and it finished, I think it was September of last year. She called me with some great news last week. And again, thanking me how many months later for all that I did. So it's, I think it was the impact that I've had on my clients that definitely have helped me.
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to people watching. There's a LinkedIn user. We can't see your name, but good evening back to you. And more jobs. Hi, Sue in LA. Great interview here. We appreciate it. Thank you. And for everybody watching on Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn, and who will watch the repeat of this show, thank you so much for tuning into the Cocktale Hour. I appreciate it, and I'm sure our guests appreciate it also. We're talking with Sue Knows Business, and she really does know business. And if you just go to her Instagram, you'll be able to see all of the ways that you even promote yourself, which is what really captured my attention in the way that you do things. And you give a lot of value. Sue definitely knows business more jobs than. So we talked a little bit about the career you had before, which was the decor and event planning, which you haven't really strayed away from completely. Like you've been able to in a way that you, because you seem to really promote Black business as well. And that's why I wanted to really bring you on the show, because you embody what this show is about. And you try to find ways to do that. And one of the events that I saw and met you at, well, not that I met you at, but that I went to after meeting you, was the Network and Chill event.
Yes.
That was fantastic. So talk to me about how that was created.
All right. So you're right. I've tried to break up with event planning so many times, but someone asked me, not someone, but like usually I do corporate events now. So I don't promote it as much, but definitely I still have that in me. I absolutely loved doing it. So how Network and Chill came about was I've been to so many networking events. I love them. It's one of the greatest things I can do. Instead of going to too many parties nowadays, I don't go to any at all, I should say. But networking is a really big part of my business, and it should be a part of everyone's business.
Yeah.
One event in particular, I noticed that, and I noticed this I just didn't really like take a huge note to it, that a lot of times people who go by themselves or they're not as extroverted, they have difficulties with mingling. And that's what you're supposed to do in a network. What's the point of going to a networking event if you're in the corner not talking to anybody, right? So I went up to this girl because she looked like awkwardly single in her corner, and I walked up to her like, hey, what's your business about? And we started talking, and then I started to notice like every other quiet person that was just kind of like playing with their phone. I'm like, how are you at a networking event playing with your phone? And so I made it a point, because I'm Suzette and I'm just that person, to like walk around to all the people that were quiet in the corner, in a corner, and introduce myself. And so we essentially, I went home that night, and I was in my car. I like to think in the car in the shower for some reason. That's ideas come to me.
Me too.
I don't know why, but like there is something in the air in the car in the shower that just gives me these ideas. And I was like, I should have my own networking event. And so I'm like, but I want it to be different. I want it just to not be networking and bring your business card, introduce yourself. I want it to be something fun and enjoyable. So then didn't sleep at all that night because the ideas were like bursting at the seams, and I'm writing everything down because if I don't write it down, it'll fly out of my head really quickly. So I'm writing out all the ideas of what this could look like. And so I told my assistant at the time of the idea, and she's like, "That's an amazing idea." I said, "I want people to come to this networking event, and I want everyone to talk. I don't want, if you came by yourself or you came with an army of people, I still want you to mix and mingle. I don't want to see anybody in a corner." So I started to combine my past life as an event planner and all the things. I've done parties for my friends. I've done parties for my family, like MC stuff. And I just kind of like combined everything with my creativity, with my event planning, with my now business. I'm like, how can I make a baby out of this? Or like 4 different baby daddies. How can I make one baby out of this? How can I do?
Wow.
Sorry. How can I do that? And so I started thinking about it, and I wrote this entire thing down. This was like 4:00 in the morning. And I was so impressed with it. I told my sister, and she was impressed with it. And I started to plan it. Halfway through planning, again, anxiety and insecurities. I thought that this is such a dumb idea. I'm like, who is gonna come to this event? I'm like, no, Suzette, this is business. And sorry, side story. When I first came out as Sue Knows Business, a friend of mine, she's also a business owner, she said to me that, make sure that when you come out, you don't come out like Sue, and the attitude and the prim and proper and polished, as you said. I did that. I came out on camera. I used to have my blazer on, button right up. Hello, everyone. My name is Suzette. And I did this whole spiel. I was so stiff because I wasn't in character. Like I wasn't myself.
Right.
And so there was a topic that I wanted to talk about on one of my lives. And it was a video I was trying to make. And I was trying to be prim and polished, but I couldn't get out what I wanted to say because every time I wanted to say whatever it was, it sounded unpolished to me. Oh. And I was like, forget this, man. And I just I took off the blazer and I'm like, hey guys, this is that. And I just started to speak and be me. That video got so many views because shared because I was myself. Yes. Right. And it was then that I was like, no, I need to come out and make myself relatable. I need to show people who I am and not be what people think I should be because I'm a business consultant. I have my professional days for sure. But a lot of times when I speak to you real. And I'd be like, LA, we spoke many times already, and I don't polish things because at the same time, I think that it's my duty. That's the reason why you're coming to me is to tell you the truth, not to sit here and, you should do this for your business. I'll tell you how I messed up. I'm like, don't make the same mistakes I've made because it will cost you a lot of money. And I spent that money already. Don't do the same thing. So
you know what? I challenge you to think that it's not that you're not polished because you do that. I think it's polished because the information is succinct. It's important. It's the truth. And you don't say it brash. You might think that that's your personality or whatever, but you also look very together. So you look together, and when you're giving information, it's good information. And so that's what makes you look polished. That's what makes you polished. The way that you speak is not, it's not like you're some ghetto gal that can't hold it together.
Well, no, my friend was just like, she's like, you're too much. You're like, keep your hands down. And I'm like, but I talk with my hands. Pardon?
But that's your friend.
That's her. And she's like, well, if I was a client, I wouldn't look at you and think that you could help me with my business. That's what she said to me. And so for the longest time, I had that in my head. And so, it makes it's like you have this internal battle because I'm like, I want to be professional. I think I'm professional, but at the same time, I don't know how else to say this in a nice way. Don't do this, this is what you should be doing because if you do it this way. But I think that part of that too is me being real because a lot of times people will tell you what they think you want to hear and then they'll take your money and then it's like you on your own.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You speak to really important things. One, being yourself is really important in business because you don't want to be somebody else. Mm-hmm. And 2, you're talking about confidence. Now, I'm going to segue into this because I saw this on your Instagram story where you were making fun. I think it was your sister on the zip line.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And you turned around and you said, it's it all starts with confidence. That was one of the quotes that I grabbed from your stuff.
Yeah.
And so what you're saying is exactly true, that you have to be yourself, and it all starts with confidence. And you went up on that zip line and did your thing. And at one point you did feel afraid as well.
Yes.
But you still did it.
I still did it. Yeah.
With
Yeah.
confidence.
It was spinning. I did not anticipate. I put my foot down. I was like, woo. Yeah, that one was not, that one wasn't,
no, that was awesome.
Yeah. And I still did it. And a lot of times, again, as entrepreneurs, we're always, and I'm still guilty of it to this day. We're always scared of the what ifs. Well, what if it works out? Why do we default to why doesn't it work, and why not this, and why not? And that's something that we all do. I still do it. I try to be cognizant of it, and I try to catch it very quickly. Yeah. But a lot of times we get into our own heads and we hold ourselves back. And that's the bottom line. So meanwhile, I can say, oh, I have kids, I'm a single mom, and oh, I have to work, and oh, and you make up all the excuses in your head. The reality is you can actually do it. Your path and your journey may not be the same as someone else who is married, who has the supportive husband, who has the rich daddy to give you money. It won't be the same journey, but you actually can do it, right? And I think a lot of times we get so caught in our heads that we don't give ourselves the opportunity to even try, right? Exactly. So it's one of those things that, like, you know, it's a lot harder. It's a lot easier said than done. I know that I still battle with that with certain things, but a lot of times I'm like, Suzette, what's the worst that can happen? That's what I started questioning now. So if I'm on the fence about something and I'm like, okay, this network and chill is going to totally flop. What's the worst that's going to happen? People are going to chat me. Like, what are they going to say? I'm like, what's the worst that can happen? I go, let me try it. And the first one I had, oh my goodness, again, I'm not a Bali person, but whenever I'm really super insecure about something, and then multiple people come and like they're saying really kind words, like it just means a lot to me. And after the event, like people were messaging me, texting me, Sue, what an amazing event. And I had like a total meltdown in my car because I was like, oh my God, like I did it, and I did it well, like really well. And so when's the next one? And so, oh my goodness, I met so many great people, and so many transactions happened thereafter, which was the point of it as well. So to connect, and as well as to make new relationships. So I hit my target and then some. And
I love what you're saying, because you're speaking to the fact that your success has motivated you.
Exactly.
As well as your failures.
Yes, of course, 100%. Because with everything, you can look at something and you're like, oh, I failed, I'm going to give up. Or you can say, look at it, I failed, I'm not going to do that again. And then you pick it up and you get your ish together and you try it again, but now you know better.
Right. And you are definitely a champion of that, because I see the way that you constantly recreate and pivot whenever you need to get the job done. Yeah. Somebody that's watching is asking, if budget was not an issue, what event or events would you like to host locally or nationally?
Ooh.
Inquiring minds want to know, girl.
Well, I have not thought about that. I would definitely like to bring network and chill on a larger scale. I like to be very strategic in everything that I do. So, you know, if there was no budget, it sounds like you're volunteering there, Mr. Mrs. More jobs. Thank you. I would like to make network and chill a national thing where it can go to different communities. I'm a business consultant for all, but my heart goes out to, and I have to be mindful of how I say this, but this stemmed from wanting to help Black businesses. We have so much talent, and I think that a lot of times, because we don't have everything else that we need, myself included, at one point, we don't live up to our success, our potential success. So let's use a famous restaurant, for example. I won't call the name, but they make really great food, worst customer service ever. And it's one of those things where, like, I'm like, you know, had you just put a smile on your face and been a bit friendlier, you would be doing triple time. So they're doing pretty well because the food's good. But like, imagine if you had a nicely, freshly painted place. Like the place looks like a hole in the wall, but the food's good. And it's like, how many restaurants do you know like that could be a lot more successful, could have chains all over the place, and could outgrow their business right now that don't?
Yeah.
So my heart kind of stems there, and I do that, and I would like to eventually start network and chill in different locations across Canada.
That's amazing. So I hope More Jobs is going to send you a big fat check so that we can
I'll be
make.
waiting.
Yeah, we're waiting for that, and I'd like a percentage. Since
Yes, of course, of course.
there's a platform for this to happen.
Yes.
I'm gonna have to break some off to Banky, so it's going to be a little higher.
I love that.
But in seriousness, you do a part of your branding says, I help business owners that are feeling overwhelmed, unsure, and undervalued by using branding and marketing strategies and system automation. And why I think that is such a great tagline for your business is because it kind of speaks to your own journey within what you've written. There was a time where you felt overwhelmed, unsure, and undervalued. So in that way, you have positioned yourself to give to people exactly what you've been able to overcome, which is why I think you're very good at what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's really great.
I think that, again, speaking back to the community, we need to help each other more. So because I went through that, it's not like, okay, I went through it, I'm great, I'm successful, I'm big, I don't need anybody. That's not the case. I want to be an example to say, let me turn back and help who I can, who wants to be helped. Because that's the other thing. You need to want the help as well, right? And that's one of the things I really admire about you, is that when you came, you said to me, I need help. Like, you came out, a lot of people tend to say, like, they don't need help, they know exactly. And I'm always offering my 2 cents. Like, I'm paid, I'm volunteer all the time. And sometimes I can see when people are like, yeah, no, this works for me. I'm like, yeah, it's working, but you could be doing triple more. Like, why do we set the bar so low? If you can make 100 million, why is a million okay? A million's good, but you have the potential to make 100 million. Let's make 100 million, and that's my whole concept behind what I do. It's like, I see the value, I see the potential. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's where and I didn't have anybody to do that. I didn't. And that's why I'm so passionate about it, because I want to be that person. I want to make other little me's so that they can turn around and be like, you know what, someone helped me, so I want to help somebody else. And then imagine the mountains that we can move as a community. We're one of the most talented people out there. And I think that we need to know how to leverage that in a positive way that can benefit us.
Yes, I'm loving that. So now I want to ask you, how important is it to reassess one's business in order to move forward, and how often should we be doing it? Because you seem to, you had your business, but you were working at the same time, and then you were able to say, it's time for me to be on my own and do this on my own, which needed another assessment. And then while doing that, you pivoted, and then you were able to know when to add things on. That's a lot of scaffolding that you did. How did you go through that process, and what do you recommend for other people?
Well, my process, like as mentioned to you, was kind of like by default. It was just like, whoop, I hit, emotionally, I hit rock bottom. And then when I saw that weekend, when I had that huge bill and didn't line up with what I charged. So those things were not planned again, right? So that's one of the good things about me, is that as a third party, I can be on the outside looking in. I'm like, okay, you're going to be down this road if you don't do X, Y, and Z, right? In terms of assessing your business, I think that it's important to assess your business every day. And it sounds tacky. I know. Okay, let me explain. If you're doing something, right, you need to listen to what your clients are saying. If you're doing something well, continue doing that, right? Continue doing that. If someone's complaining about something, 1 person, 2, 3 complain about the same thing, assess. I typically look back, and it doesn't have to be a full assessment. When I say every day, I don't mean like a full sit down and look at everything. I'm talking about like minor things. So the minor things lead to the bigger things, right? So in terms of, okay, for example, pricing, I was doing it for free because in my head, I just figured, let me convince LA for free that I'm good and that I know. Well, you're halfway there. You booked an appointment with me because you already believe in something in me that you want to talk about, right? So it started there, and then I started to actually research business consultants and seeing what they were charging. And it took some time because there's a variety in every business, every industry. There's a variety. There's the low end, and then there's the high end. Well, assess your business. Where do you fall? A lot of us, like I'll speak to being in the event industry. A lot of people like to say, I'm trying to think of, I don't want to say someone's business name.
XYZ.
XYZ or high events or like something extravagantic events. And then you look, they're using dollar store stuff. Man, I was the opposite. I was doing the steak price type weddings and charging the hamburger amount. So imagine now someone who's doing like low quality things and have this big name and they want to charge big money, and the value isn't there. So you have to be assessing consistently and looking at the competition, looking at what they're doing right. What are you doing that's different? What are they doing that works that you could be doing? It's a constant assessment. It's constant. I don't think anybody should be sitting down and be like, okay, I made X amount for the month, so I'm good. I think you should be always looking to elevate and check in.
Yes. Wow. The pricing thing is a big deal.
Big thing.
An African proverb, sticks bundled together are unbreakable.
Well, you see that? That's a good, I really like that one. Yeah.
There's more jobs needs to get you right, Sue. I hope all of these accolades come with checks.
I second that. Okay. I second that 100%. Yeah.
So because this is looking at Black entrepreneurs and people trying to build Black wealth, let's stick around the pricing thing a little bit and talk about some of the things that you consider when setting a price. Like what you're looking, you just assessed a lot of them right now, but somebody who doesn't have specifically you're a service business, you have a product. What are some of the things, and then you have to do the whole marketing and all of those things. So do you absorb some of that cost into the price of what you're doing? How do you start to fool around with pricing when it comes to your product or service?
Okay, so pricing, such a passionate thing of mine.
I know
what happens with service. So I'll first outline the differences between the two. Service-based pricing is always a larger challenge than product-based. People are getting a tangible thing in their hands. So whether you charge $5, $10 for it, you still have to charge accordingly, but people don't push back as much when you're giving them something tangible. So that's one hurdle that product-based people don't have to face. Whereas service-based, I have to convince you that you're paying me, that my time is worth you paying me. Yeah. And so what ends up happening for myself, for example, and I had to make a post about this, I would say polish. My friend said it was a little bit brass. You become friends, but then now it's like, hey, Sue, can I have a quick call with you? Or can I have a quick question? People would call me randomly throughout the day, which again, to a certain extent, quick question, no problem. I'm not going to sit there and charge you for a whole hour. But then if, John Brown is calling me 10 times, 10 minutes for the day, well, that's, over an hour that we're talking.
Customers too, because yes, we want to help people, but you want to be respectful and have discernment that you can't just keep pulling from the well without doing the work.
Exactly. And I think that part of, I guess, I wouldn't say it's a downfall, but this is up to me to create those boundaries, is that people tend to feel like we're friends, which we turn out to be in the end. But at the same time, this is how I eat. I eat off my time. So when I'm on the phone with you every 5 minutes, it's taking away time that someone else would be paying me for. Or even if I just don't want to be doing anything or hanging out with my family, it's still my time, which isn't a tangible thing. So a lot of times people don't really consider it. So that segues into how you make pricing. Well, pricing should be based off value. I spoke to that just before in terms of assessing where do you fall on the scale of value. Are you low value, which is fine because you can be low value and have low pricing. Typically people that are in that category will sell by volume, right? So they're trying to get a quick sale. So they will just be on the lower scale. People who are high value and have high pricing, well, they sell by quality. So I didn't need to be doing 3-4 events per weekend. If I was charging correctly, I would have been able to do one and do like a $10,000 wedding or event versus doing 10 $1,000 ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So value is a big thing that you have to consider. Convenience. How convenient is your service? Is it adding value to your client's life? A lot of times people tend to sell the product and they're not selling the solution. So it's one of those things where you need to say, okay, how am I going to help your life? How can Sue help your business? How I'm gonna help you solve the problems that you have, right?
Yeah.
And so that's something, and it ties back to brand and ties back to marketing. You need to be able to relay that in your message.
Yeah.
And then the next thing, so convenience. Think about Walmart, for example. I can't stand Walmart. Walmart drives me nuts, but I have to shop there because they're convenient. When everybody else is closed, Walmart is open. Walmart,
Right.
you never find the stuff that you want. It's a total mess in there. The employees, like, they couldn't care less. But out of convenience, you need to buy something at 11 o'clock, they're open, right? So you have to think about the convenience. How do you set yourself apart from all your competitors, right? Which is another thing. How do you differentiate yourself? If you're doing the same thing that everybody else is doing, well, you're not adding any extra value. You're just another person. I used to work at TELUS. I worked at all those places, TELUS, Rogers, Bell. TELUS was the only place in training. They were telling us that after each call, the client will get a call back, a survey, sorry. And the survey would ask, how would you rate Suzette? Would you say she's good or great or poor? So
Right.
if the person said poor, you would get a -1.
Wow.
If they said you're good, you get a 0. If they said you're great, you got a 1. And I was
Mhm.
like, well, that's not fair. Why would you give a 0 for good? Like, good is good.
Right.
And I remember the trainer said to me, well, what's the difference between good and great? And I was like, okay. And she goes, well, we offer the exact same service and product that Bell and Rogers does. So
Yeah.
essentially, if we're offering good service, they can jump ship and not have to look back. There's nothing connecting to us. If you provide
Right.
great service, then they're sticking with you. And you now hit an emotional part of your client's experience.
Yeah.
And so when he said that to me, I was like, damn, I didn't think of that. Like, shoot,
Yeah.
that's simple but deep. Think about it, right? So it's one of those things that you just have to kind of like look at your value, the convenience, the solution that you're selling to the problem,
Yes.
and then your scale of where you fall
Yeah.
based on your competitors.
You just mentioned something really important that I just want to highlight for these up and coming entrepreneurs that are in their quote unquote regular jobs, that there's a lot of value you can learn where you are, that you can approach and apply to your side hustle that will eventually become your main hustle. So you, case in point, in working with TELUS, you were able to gain things from a larger company that you are now able to put into the things that you can do for people on the ground. More jobs is saying, how do you know if you're working with the right partnership within a project arrangement?
So more jobs. You sound like you need to book a consultation, but we talk about that after. Just joking.
I'm not paying for this more jobs. This is just tidbit. So you can
I'm joking. So one of the things with partnerships is to make sure that you are aligned with the same value. So you're going to hear me say the same words over and over again because that is what counts. So you have the same vision, you have the same work ethic. A lot of time, and I just spoke to this a couple of days ago, where he said, if you are going to a partnership with one of your friends and your friend is not an organized person, well, don't put them in charge of organizing the business. They're not good at it already. And a lot of times we do that hoping that I'm going to hope that LA change and that she can become organized. No, you're already setting yourself up for failure, right? So you have to make sure that in partnerships, you know what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, and your partner's strengths and weaknesses, and then make sure it's complementary. So my weaknesses are, then you can fulfill my weaknesses with your strengths, essentially.
Yes.
That's really important because a lot of times, because we're friends and we had a good idea while we're drinking, let's do business.
You don't recommend
friendship is going to end faster than anything else. Like, don't do, especially when money's involved. I think that you also need to have clear expectations. So again, kind of segue into strengths and weaknesses. Okay, LA, you're responsible for X, Y, and Z. Sue is responsible for X, Y, and Z, because automatically now you have accountability. So if I'm responsible of managing social media and I don't do any posts, Sue, that's what you're supposed to do. And write it down. Too many times when we do partnerships, especially with friends, it's a conversation. And then it's like, no, but I thought you said that you would do Facebook, and I would do Instagram. No, we didn't discuss that.
And then
Right?
how do you reprimand each other if they don't do it?
How
Without,
do you recommend?
yeah, like I mean, reprimand might seem harsh, but if somebody's not pulling their weight and it's part of what you agree,
Well,
that's tender.
and that happens because partnerships break up all the time. So, and all the more reason why to set it up better in the beginning, so that you don't have to go down that road. Because then, if you go down that road of separation, that's time and money wasted. There's always learning lessons and everything. So, no matter if you do something successful or if you're not successful, I always think that there's a learning lesson in everything. But I,
It's tough,
I
right?
guess, pardon?
I'm saying it's tough, and I guess you just have to have that really serious conversation.
Yeah, I guess the consequences, right? Like, what's the consequence of me not holding my end of the social media? Like, so why are we doing social media? We're doing social media to reach out to people and to get followers and to convert them to sales. Well, we haven't got any sales, or we missed our target because, well, part of our whole marketing tactic wasn't done. So it's one of those things that, like, you have to look at the consequences. Okay, so now what? All right, Sue, I need you to go ahead and get on it this month. If you don't get on it, like, not to say threats, but you have to put consequences in place. Think of your partnership as children, as your children, not to treat someone like a child, but like, you tell your child, if you don't listen, you're going to lose your PlayStation for a week. You input consequences, right? So, and that's a really hard conversation to have because no one wants to feel like a child. But I think that there's always ways and means of saying things.
See, you're more polished than you think.
I'm sorry?
You're more polished.
Oh, you see that? Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
You have tact.
They used to call me the positioning queen because I used to so I was in the higher what was it called now? Loyalty and retention, and then I went into client resolutions management. So like that was like the fake managers. When someone escalated really high, you would get to CRNT. And reason why I got there is that I would say the same thing that everybody else said before me, but I would say it in a way that people were more receptive. You don't say it's because of the policy. No, I can't. You try to avoid can't do. People want to hear, what can you do? The moment I hear someone tell me that they can't do something, like, pass me to somebody else that can. Like, don't waste my time. I don't want to talk to you. So you have to, there's certain things of how you position what you say. You can still get the message delivered, but the way in which someone's going to receive it and react to it is all in your delivery, right? So I think that, like, to set expectations and consequences, like, okay, you know what, Sue, I know you missed some posts this week, but can you pick it up? Because we need to get these clients in so we can make money. If we don't make any money, then like I'm gonna have to move on to something else. Something like that,
Yeah, that sounds really good. That's one to write down, everybody. I just want to give a shout out to Dr. Vibe, who's watching. He says, greetings. He says, complete each other, not compete with each other.
Yes, I like that.
Yeah. He says documentation is so important. Mm-hmm. Now, our friend who's going to cut the check for you, Mr. or Mrs. More Jobs, what are 3 words that best describe your brand?
Ooh, okay. Wow. Spend some time. I would say transparency. And these are, again, I'm always different than using like basic words. Transparency, because again, going back to my whole story, I was embarrassed to tell that story that I just told you and the entire world just now of my learning lessons. I don't like to say failures, my learning lessons from my other business. How can I be a business consultant and not know all these things? Well, I didn't. And I didn't plan to be a business consultant. It just happened organically. But I became that because of my experiences. So, transparency, professional. Again, I have that polish. I'm going to say polish now. Thank you so much, LA. I'm going to say polish. When my friend calls me and tells me I wasn't polished, I'm like, yes, I was. LA said I am polished.
You are polished.
Professionalism. As a business owner, it's really important to maintain that. Our business is our baby, and it's one thing when we're working at Rogers or working wherever, and it's like you can sometimes say, hey, that person's not mad with me, they're mad with the company. But when you are the company, you get real deep in your feelings real quick. So professionalism, knowing how to, again, deliver exactly what it is that you're trying to say in a professional manner. I have been professionally, what did my friends say? Professionally, not rude, but professionally, what was the word? Something along the lines where like I say something and it's like, okay, and I say it in a professional way that you get the hint. Where like I get posts and I told my clients, I'm like, yeah, don't call me if you don't have a booked appointment. I can't remember exactly what I said. I have it posted there somewhere.
Straightforward.
Pardon? Straightforward. There we go. Straightforward. Straightforward. And
you know what? I think as Black women, we feel like we can't be because we don't want to get labeled with what that represents in juxtaposition to white female fragility. But there's nothing unpolished about being straightforward. You're not belittling anyone. You're not berating anyone. You're being straightforward because you understand the value that you are providing. And you know how to set boundaries. And that to me is being polished. It doesn't have to sound like, all timid and like, that's not what it is.
Firm. Be firm and stand your ground, because like who else is going to do it for you? Right.
Exactly.
So like when you realize that you have to create boundaries and you have to, create boundaries, know how to create those boundaries without being rude, right? You don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. You don't want anyone to feel that they can't speak to you, which is, I would say, in other words, I'm approachable. Again, given how my personality is, I try to be approachable. I don't want anyone to feel embarrassed. I know that feeling already. I don't want anyone to feel burnt out. I know that feeling already. I don't want anyone to feel extra stressed out. You're going to be stressed regardless. It's business, right? I'm pretty sure Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos are stressed out in their own way. But just to be approachable, and like, I'm a human being too. I'm not a superhero. I've had my downfalls and my struggles, still do. Nothing's perfect. As life goes on, you encounter new things, and as they come along, you may not know how to deal with them. But one thing that I can say to everyone is to process before you react, right? Process what it is. A lot of times someone, especially through emails, someone might say something, you might misread it. Regardless of what it is, maintain your professionalism. That's like really, 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 really huge.
Yeah.
I
think that's good. I would offer that it's, from my experience, it's personalized. So you don't put a blanket approach to all of our businesses that come to you. You take the time to understand who your client is, and you work with their strengths and weaknesses, and you personalize what you can do for them. So Mr. or Mrs. More Jobs, what I will suggest is that Sue Knows Business has a wonderful business starter kit. It includes 3 to 30-minute business consultations. She can create a custom mood board for you. She can redo your bio, so bio optimization. She can give you highlight covers for your social media, 6 branded templates, 10 target effective hashtags, and a custom 5-day posting schedule. So if you want that, you contact her, and you'll be able to give you more information.
I can help you.
Yeah, she can definitely help you. They're asking things like off topic but related. How does business get higher paying clients? These are things that she will be happy to go through with you in a one-on-one. And I highly recommend that you do so, because Sue knows business. Survive. What is it that you're saying? Self-care. Please watch the beginning of this show, because she does touch on how creating boundaries was really important, and how being with her family and just understanding her value was a big part of her self-care. I know people are just jumping in now, but it's coming to an end so fast. Like I said,
watch the replay.
Yes, always stay a level above the situation that you're in. Exactly. Yeah. That's a great way to punctuate Sue's point. I was going to ask you questions about the Realtor's Choice, about the photo shoots that you have for people. You can get access to information around business grants, how to diversify your brand while still staying on brand. And her own brand is a great, template for that, in the way that she used the businesses that she used to have in order to facilitate the networking that is needed for the business that she's currently doing. I saw that you were doing a podcast or these IG Live, which is another great strategy. Yeah. And I saw you do the come up TO, and I don't know why you stopped that, because you're very good. You're very good on camera like that. You have so many strengths.
I didn't get the videos. I don't know how to. I'll say that.
Really?
I unfortunately, I didn't. I did not get the product, so I didn't get the videos.
It's a
it
learning
was coming for a very long time, and unfortunately, the company I was working with, they just had a lot on their plate at the time, and that's unfortunately just a long story of it. I can't even beat around much around that one.
It's another learning, but just so you know, the skills and the experience that you had from there, in seeing just the clip, I can see that you're very good at that. You're very good at television. You're very good at speaking at what you're at so many different things, so that it's been able to help you in many aspects of your business. And if anything else, if you need to pivot, you can see that there's another opportunity for you again.
Told you we have so much stuff in common. I told you, like, I kept saying that to you like over and over. I know you probably thought it was annoying, but like speaking, I was just like, so many things. Like, I feel like our personalities are very similar in terms of like, we are creatives, and not just any creative. Some creatives are just painters. Some creatives are just artists, but like, we're very versatile. We can adapt to anything someone throws us into. I went to this, I was helping when I was doing my event planning, and I went to help an event planner. It wasn't my event. She just asked me to be secondhand, and didn't know the client, didn't know anybody there. Long story short, the MC that was his aunt. It was a 50th, 40th birthday. His aunt was just horrible. It was like the most painful thing to sit through. And I jokingly said to her, I'm like, man, I should go up there and MC this whole thing and take over it. And she grabbed my arm. She looked dead in my face, and she goes, can you? I'm like, I know this guy. I know. And I was like, 200 people. I was like, no. And in my heart, it just dropped to the floor, because I knew that I knew she was gonna make me do it. And I got up and I MC'd the entire night, and like people people loved it, because like I was a breath of fresh air. Even I didn't have anything scripted or anything like that, but the end was and so like, it's a matter of just tackling on whatever comes your way.
It's the confidence that we talked about.
The confidence, exactly. Yeah.
And more than confidence, I think it's a faith that we rely on.
Yeah.
That because going on that zip line, back to the zip line story, you might, yes, you need confidence to do certain things, to take this step, but you need the faith to go and actually do it, and to continue till the very end. And that takes faith. Yeah. And so, as Dr. Vibe would say, keep the faith, because that is something that you definitely need in business, that we kind of, we don't talk about enough. Mm-hmm. Exactly. What is next for you? What do you still thirst for in life?
Ooh, I am trying to set up 7 streams of income. I am. I have another business. I have an event space that I opened up in March. I didn't make an announcement of it. Just want to keep the two of them separate. It's out of town, and I'm running that on the back end. So I'm just trying to set up 7 streams of income minimum. In terms of Suno's business, I am looking to do more corporate, fingers crossed, lip sealed, corporate events where I can be that marketing person for a business. So when that is finalized, I'll make an announcement out of it. And Network and Chill. I said October, I made an announcement, but then a bunch of people messaged me that they're having events, and I don't want to step on anybody's toes. So might push it to November. That's when I had the last one. Nice. To make Network and Chill. It's official. I got it incorporated. Yeah, I got it incorporated. At first I wasn't sure, but now after that last one, so to have more networking and chill events, because it is very important to network with people, to put yourself out there. You should be a walk-in billboard for your business. Confident or not confident, but like introvert or not introvert, you need to be a walk-in billboard. And so I try to surround Network and Chill on helping people who may not be able to do that. Like, you don't need any help. You're just, you know exactly what to say. I love you. Have your pitch down. You have everything down pat. Most people don't. You ask someone, what is it that you do? And they're giving you, that's not confident. And the moment that people do that, they're not going to buy into you, because you don't sound confident about your own business. Why am I spending money with you? Right. And a lot of times people don't realize that. And then they're like, well, my business isn't working. No, your idea is great, you need to believe in it,
Yeah.
essentially, right? So I'm gonna do more networking chills and make that like a consistent, not consistent all the time, but like twice a year at minimum, where that's gonna be a thing. So
This could be none of my business, but just when you have your 7 streams of income, do you have a goal for what you want to do with all of this money that you're accumulating? And you can say it's none of your business, and it's so. But I just wonder, because for me it's legacy and breaking generational wealth within my family, like breaking through towards that,
a topic, and I'm not gonna get too deep into it because I get too deep in it and I get like really passionate about it. Things are really changing in terms of the world, and I think that the opportunities that were there when you and I were growing up won't be there. My son, when he turns 16, he's not gonna be able to get his first job at McDonald's because McDonald's has computers right now. And it's before it's going to be entirely computer. Right now, a lot of things are self-checkout, but they still have the one cashier. So I'm trying to set up, I don't want to say financially free, because I don't know if that's an actual thing, because the more money you make, the more money people spend, and now you're living a different lifestyle. But I essentially want to have businesses in place that my children, when they grow up, they can pick and choose which one they want to run, and they better pick one, because so I want to have that, so that I can, again, legacy and generational wealth, so that they don't have to rely on some job that may not exist when they're older. So that's really my drive. In terms of what I'll do with the money, I love to travel. I'm about to go away for 2 weeks. A girlfriend of mine works at the airline still, and she told me to come, and I'm gonna go. So I love to travel. I want to be able, when I say financially free to do what I want. I don't need to be a billionaire. That would be nice, but I think that they have their own issues when you get to be that level. I know I have a few rich friends that I know, and like, I don't want their headaches, man.
More money, more
I don't want more money, more. I never knew what that meant until like hearing some of the nonsense they go through, and it's different problems that you and I wouldn't even fathom right now, because we're not there yet.
Exactly.
So I just want to be able to do whatever it is that I want with my family, for myself, and I have to think twice and look at my bank account and be like, oh, let me rearrange this.
That is amazing. I read somewhere else on your site, it said no is important because yes is expensive. Woo! So boundaries are so important.
They're very important. It's hard to do, especially like when you have built that relationship, that friendship with a client. Keep in mind, they're a client first before anything else. So meanwhile, someone needs to get help. I will try and redirect them to say, okay, is this, what is this about? I will assess if it's something I can do and help them right then and there, or if it's something that they need to book an appointment for, or if I need to redirect them to someone who else that can better help them. So yeah, there's a whole video on that. I don't know if you saw it, the entire video on
the whole video, but I saw exactly what I needed to hear.
Okay. It makes a huge difference, because a lot of times I struggle with that. I've been a lot better lately, but I don't know if it's from people pleasing. I wouldn't say I'm a people pleaser at all, but if I can help, I want to help, but at the same time, not to my detriment. And it used to be to my detriment all the time, where I drop what I'm doing to go and help a friend because they needed help, but it wasn't like anything that they needed me specifically to do. And then what ends up happening there is that, because you don't have no boundaries, they're going to be calling you every time to help last minute, and then you're forever dropping things. And I went through that, and I was getting frustrated with myself because I was doing everything for everybody and not for myself. Right. And so my business wasn't moving as far as I wanted to. I felt like so incomplete, because I don't know where my time was going. It was going to everybody else. My phone would ring constantly with my mom calling me to chat nonsense, or my sister calling me to chat nonsense, or, and so because I didn't have boundaries, I wasn't living my life to the fullest as I could have.
Yeah, and you're not productive when you can't say no.
Not at all. Not at all. Sometimes I put my phone on airplane mode. If I don't have any bookings or anything, I put on airplane mode, leave a message, send a text, and I'll get back to you when I can.
Yes. Amazing. That's a great place to end. How do we reach you?
Oh, okay. So you can, if you want to get in contact with me, you can go to my Instagram or my website, sunosbusiness.com, or on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn at Sunos Business. I have links on all of them where you can book a consultation, send me a DM. If you would like to chat, but not about business too much, because right there. To be careful, I had to catch myself on that one quickly. But yeah, if you have like sometimes people they want to know more about like what happens in a consultation, for sure, send me a DM.
Yes, I love it. Thank you to those watching. More jobs. We see you. We know we have lots of questions. Book the thing, man. Book the one-on-one.
I'll be looking out.
Yes, thank you for saying we had a great show. We felt it too. Dr. Vibe, thank you. Keep the faith, Dr. Vibe. And thank you all for watching the Cocktale Hour presented by Business Takeout, inspiring Black wealth and Black entrepreneurship through intimate yet sobering conversations. If you'd like to sponsor or advertise with us, feel free to contact us. I'm your host, LA Wade. Thanks for watching the Cocktale Hour, and thanks, Sue. You inspired us today.
Thank you so much, LA. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
If you enjoy our programming and want to help support Black entrepreneurship, please donate today. www.businesstakeout.com/donate.